Hi, I'm Stuart. Welcome to my YouTube channel, or welcome back if you watched a previous video. In this video, I'm going to do the library tag. I was tagged in the comments of a video by Book Chat with Pat, and I thank Pat for that. I'm just going to repeat what Pat said in her video to properly credit those who were responsible for this tag. This is an original tag created by @BookBuds. Pat was tagged by Joe and Mary of @BookBuds. A message from @BookBuds. A new original tag for BookBuds, the library tag. Did you know BookBuds films right next to a library? We had to make this tag. Let's talk about your library habits. We have questions for both those of you that go to the library and those of you that don't. Answer the questions that apply to you. Because I do go to the library, I'm going to answer that set of questions, but both sets of questions will be in the description of this video if you decide you'd like to do this tag. The first question is, how often do you go to the library? A little over a year ago, I got a library card after not having one for decades. And the reason I got this library card was so I could borrow books on Libby. While I was in the library signing up so I could get a card, I know there was a handout for Hoopla, so I took that, and I later signed up for Hoopla also. I borrow books on Libby and Hoopla far more than I actually borrow books from the library. For the past few months, I actually have gone to the library, the library parking lot, every week or two, and that's to donate books, CDs, DVDs, Blu-rays. I've done a big decluttering, but I don't actually go into the library itself that much. In our town, there's a new library being built. It's on a municipal lot that is by the existing library, and I used to park the municipal lot. It had a lot of parking spaces. With that new library being built, the only parking for the old library is a small lot behind it, and it's often quite full. So for that reason, I don't often go till inside in the library. So as far as going into the library, I actually probably only every month or two. I do enjoy when I go, and I always take 2 or 3 books. I always borrow 2 or 3 books. So I do enjoy going in, but as I said, mostly I have my library cards so I can borrow books on Libby and Hoopla. The second question is, do you belong to more than one library system? I only belong to the library system in my town. They do have reciprocal agreements with some libraries in surrounding towns, but I've never gone to those libraries to borrow any books. I've only borrowed them from the library in my town. The third question is, what percentage of books you read come from the library? I looked at my Storygraph stats for this year, and I've completed 25 books. Of those books, I own 11, and 14 came from the library. So the math shows that works out that 56% of the books that I read this year came from the library. Of the 14 that I borrowed from the library, 2 were physical books, 10 were ebooks, and 42 were audiobooks. I don't really expect that to remain that high the remainder of the year because I have a lot of ebooks and physical books I want to read. The fifth question is, did you go to Storytime as a kid? I'm not actually sure if there was a Storytime. I don't recall to be going to anything like that. I do fondly remember going to the library as a kid. The library was housed in a building across the street from the existing library. That building still exists. It's now the Town Historical Society. And I remember that the kids section was in the back of the library and you go down some stairs. The sixth question is, have you ever borrowed a movie or video game from your library? And I've never borrowed a movie or video game, nor a CD, vinyl, or magazine. Just books, as far as I can recall. There was a time that, a while back now, but when I needed to make copies of something, the library let you for $0.10 a page. You could copy things, and I would copy things there. I think probably mainly like tax returns, things like that. So I did that. And of course, as a kid, I did a lot of research at the library for reports for my schoolwork. But I don't recall borrowing anything besides books. The seventh question is, Have you ever gotten fined for returning books late? If so, how do you feel about that? I don't think so. When I was a kid, I think my mother would have been on top of that. I don't think she would have permitted one of my library books to not be returned on time. And the time I've had my new library card, which, as I said in the answer to the first question, was a little over a year. The few physical books I've borrowed, I've returned on time. In a few cases, they've given me an extended renewal because nobody else was waiting for it. I didn't request it, they just gave it to me. But I've always returned them by the deadline. For Libby and Hoopla books, they automatically return them if you hit the deadline. With one exception, I've always returned those books before I hit the deadline. In one case, I did hit the deadline and it was automatically returned. I think I would feel bad if I did have to pay a fine. Not so much the amount, but just the idea that I didn't live up to my part of the arrangement, which was supposed to be that you were lent a book and you were expected to return it on time. I have seen some people say that there are cities that they no longer fine people for not returning books on time, and I frankly don't know how that would work because it seems like there is no longer an incentive to return them on time. The 8th question is, do you attend special events, groups, or book sales at the library? And I can't be sure. I didn't attend a special event as a kid. It was so long ago I don't remember it. I know I haven't attended any special events since the time I got my new library card. That's only been a little over a year. Despite donating a lot of books and CDs, DVDs, and Blu-rays to the library, I've never actually gone to a book sale there. I think they might actually have a used bookstore that is open fair amount of hours. I think like it's not necessary to have a regular sale, but I've never actually gone to the bookstore and looked at books. Most of the books I buy are new books. That's just what I do. The 9th question is, have you ever given or taken a book from a Little Free Library, a book box, or a book swap? The answer to that is no. I'm only aware of one Little Free Library. I saw one at the mall I frequent. I've never taken a book from it or donated a book to it. I may at some point donate a couple books there. I'm not sure I'll take anything in return. It would be interesting to look up what Little Free Libraries might be around. I know there's like websites and apps that I think will help you do that. The 10th question, which they show as a bonus question, is, does your librarian know you by name? And the answer to that is no. I haven't gone to the library enough for them to know me by name, and I doubt I ever will. As I said in the answer to a previous question, mostly I have my library card to borrow books on Libby and Hoopla, and I'm sure that'll continue to be the case. I'll certainly go to the library every month or two, and I'll borrow 2-3 books when I do, but I won't visit there frequently. The 11th prompt is tag some friends. I'm just going to say anyone watching this, please consider yourself tagged. If you'd like to do a video of this tag, I'm sure I'd be interested in seeing your answers. Or if you'd like to answer one or more questions in the comments, I'd be interested in seeing that too. Just a final thought, I do want to say libraries are a great resource, and I'm glad they're around. I hope they continue to stay around, and recognize too that libraries and librarians are some threats because the attempts to ban books and criminalize the behavior of librarians. And even though I live in the most liberal state in the country, perhaps Connecticut, liberal to me is a positive too. And there's still been attempts to ban books, and I imagine there's been some successes too, although it's certainly not like states like Florida and Texas or states like that. I am quite concerned and scared about that. Maybe I'll talk about that in some other video. If you enjoy this video, please give it a like, please subscribe, please hit the notification bell so you can see notifications when I upload videos. Hope you have a wonderful day.